Hey everybody, this is Gloria, and we are live on the Heart of the City San Diego Facebook page. And I have with me Tommy and Michele Hunter.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
I'm so excited to have them. I can tell you a little bit of the backstory on that. I seen these guys. I seen them on, it was either the 700 Club or TBN or something like that.
Sure.
But I was like so impressed with their story that, you know, I was a fan, so I was like stalking them. Right?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, these guys have an incredible story. And then it turned out that you guys moved to San Diego.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and I told you this before earlier, you guys, that I messaged Michele and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to, you know, get, I think I said coffee or something like that. And she was so sweet. She was like, oh, that would be nice. And so, like, you know, we had this little conversation, right? For me, sitting here as someone who interviews people, I think that is the most humble thing for people to do that. And that kind of people, when they do get back to you like that, I think that is personable. I think it's incredible. I think it's humble, and I love that. I think there's a big heart behind that. So that's incredible. So with that said, though, I'm like so happy to have you guys. I want you guys to I want you guys to kind of just, you know, share with the audience here a little bit about, you know, who you are. Let them know, you know, maybe they haven't seen the 700 Club or any of those things, but you guys have just this amazing, miraculous story, and I've been sharing this with the Facebook, you know, family here.
Yeah, just such the grace of God, though, and I really don't want to get all spiritual and religious, but man, honestly, the only reason why Michele and I get to sit here today is because of, you know, it's we learned over the weekend from a Hispanic pastor, one of the guys in Mexico that we spoke at his church, and he said, man, it's grace. Yeah. You know, it's just a double measure of grace, and we were definitely afforded that. And we'll get into what that means in a minute, but why don't we tell a little bit about where we come from and, you know, jump into how we met and then how we completely screwed things up and where we are today.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Go for it. I'll let you go.
Yeah. Speaking for myself, my grandparents raised me, and they are amazing Christian people, and raised me right. But it was at a very young age due to a lot of different dynamics and things going on in my life. I think I was about 13 when I left home.
It's young.
Yeah, it's very young. And so it was then when I started using drugs and alcohol, and so my life was just real wild and chaotic, and, you know, I walked away from God with my hand in his face, you know, most of my life. And so all of those years, I think from about 13 to 30, I was real involved with drugs and guns and just real high-level criminal activity.
Wow.
And I found myself in jail in 2002, facing 26 plus years in prison.
Oh my gosh.
Give or take a few years. And I absolutely deserved every one of them. I was just a real shady chick. And it was while I was in jail, actually, that I had an encounter with God. And he just... his love just wrecked me, you know, and I made a decision while I was in there. It wasn't some sort of jailhouse conversion kind of thing. It was a real heart awareness of how desperately I needed him and how desperately I had messed up my life. And I think it was because of that real heart transformation that happened while I was in there that I'm not in there today, thank God. And then,
Can I just interject for a second?
Yeah,
I think what we've learned is that a lot of people know who God is,
right.
But then there's the knowing. That's, you know, when it actually sinks into your heart and it, you know, you start to understand your surrender versus just, you know, the head knowledge. And I think that's what Michele was happening with Michele. And really, I just kind of came up with this phrase that says salvation without transformation is deception. Because there's not really any transformation in your life, you're really deceiving yourself into thinking that you're doing something and being something that you're actually not. And the only one that we end up fooling ourselves is us, you know, and
That's good.
and so we found out that, well, I can still speak for me. I was really just being a fool, but go ahead.
Well, it took me a while. I mean, even though I had this encounter with God in jail, you know, when I got out, I had to learn how to be legal and be right and work honestly and how to change everything that I had believed my whole life and, you know, a lifetime of learned behavior, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it took me a while, and during the process, over several years, you know, I really chased God really hard, and I...
Did you have, can I just...
Yeah.
Did you have any mentors, someone helping you through this transition point?
I was in a really good church. When I got out of jail, I immediately got into this church that God had told me to go to.
Awesome.
And I was going to Sunday mornings and Sunday afternoons and Sunday evenings, and I was going to Wednesdays and Saturdays and the Thursday meetings that I totally didn't understand, and the help groups. I mean, I really wanted to be different. I wanted everything in my life to be different.
Yeah.
And it took several years for me to learn how to think differently and how to think the way that God wants us to think, you know, and how to learn how to use faith and stand on the word. And so I was in a really good church teaching me really good fundamentals. God provided me a great job a few years after I got out at a ministry, using all of the things that I did when I was a shady character in the graphics department at a ministry. And so those people really surrounded me and my daughters and loved on us and just became our family. So I don't know that they were so much mentors, but they definitely were family, and they were definitely there for us. And I spent, you know, many years really working on my relationship with God and my relationship with my daughters. And I didn't have any intention of getting married or being in a relationship. I mean, I had done that before. I had practiced marriages before, and so we both have. And then just, one day Tommy Hunter came along and messed everything up.
I did. Screwed it all up. You know, Jack
Elaborate on that.
Yeah, jacked up. We met online, and, you know, we met on a Christian dating site, and whatever that means. And so because you find, you know, a Christian dating site, everybody has their own idea and concept of what a Christian really is. And so even myself, you know, I mean, I think I had the understanding of the concept, but I had a lot of religion, and Michelle had a lot of faith, and so you put those two together, and they collided. And
let me just interject there.
Yeah.
I didn't have any religion. I only knew intimate relationship with God.
Right.
So when we met, he had a lot of Christianese. He had a lot of, he sounded the part, and he played the part. And he, I had never been in a relationship with a Christian man before, so I was so excited, and he had so much Bible knowledge that I was like, wow, this is, you know, God, this is amazing that you brought this man into my life.
But, I can relate.
Well,
it wasn't amazing though.
You know, a lot of that was just the way that I was taught when I first got saved, and it's kind of just, I mean, it was King James only, and it was, you know,
no women preachers.
Yeah, I mean, just no speaking in tongues and none of that. And now, wow, we're just, you know, that's a totally different world for us. But I brought to the mix, you know, at like age 2 or 3, I watched my mom, who was a single mom. Let me even back up even further. So when my mom got pregnant, she was Catholic, and her mom and dad, because my mom wasn't married, pushed my mom down a flight of stairs, hoping that she would have a miscarriage.
Oh my goodness.
And I just look at that as, man, the enemy couldn't snuff me out because God had such a bigger plan. And but about 3 years later, I watched my mom date guys and be brutally beaten by them. And so all this programming is happening, and then by 5 years old, she's, she got married, but then she got married an abusive guy. And so then by age, I don't know, 6, 7, I was molested by 2 female babysitters. So my concept of women was really skewed. And by age 14, I had lost my virginity to my mom's best friend, who was in her 30s. And so my programming was set. It was done, and so for the next how many ever years until we met, 26 years till we met, my whole programming was women were good for abuse and having sex with. Period. That's it. And they
Well,
were
your programming was much longer. It was way after you met me,
right.
But that continued.
But it was just they were disposable, and so. So that's to answer your question. How I really screwed our marriage up is that I had the concept that if I didn't like it, we could just
It was over.
call it done. Not and it's not what I really wanted. It's just that was my default.
It was almost like a fear mechanism. So if he really misbehaved or he was really abusive, because he was very abusive in our first marriage, he would be so quick to we're getting divorced, that's it, because he didn't want rejection from me, so he would reject me before I could reject him, and it was his way of being self-protective, I think. We got married just 4 months after knowing each other.
We don't recommend that. If you're watching live and you're single,
do not
don't
do that.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. You definitely have to go through some life experiences together. And like ask each other about your credit reports and all kinds of different things that we don't think about that are important when you get married, And so we got married, and everything was just this ridiculous fairy tale for the 4 months till we got married. And
well, go ahead.
Well, it was just
you love telling this part.
It was just a couple weeks after we got married. Tommy came home from work and he didn't like what I said, or he didn't like how I said it, or something.
Somebody just texted you. They're trying to watch your program, but something's happening in your text messages that came up. So I don't know if you want to check that, but anyway.
Oh, okay. It's probably okay. That's okay.
Somebody named Johnny Boy.
That's my son.
Hey, Johnny Boy. Anyway.
Probably trying to share. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he just, I don't know what happened. He came home from work and he didn't like something, and so he showed me who he really was, who he had been hiding for the 4 months that I had known him. And he was very violent and angry and abusive, and was throwing me out of the house and changing the locks and taking all the money, and we were getting divorced, and we lived like this every day.
Wow.
But what was so frustrating is I had no idea why I was so angry.
Yeah.
Because I had never taken the time to connect the dots or really think it through. And much like the question you asked, I've had mentors, and I've had some couple really great mentors, but that piece with the dots were never connected until probably 6 years ago. So thank God I got set free from that, But that was the radical move and change for us. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so we lived like that for 4.5 years, and it was hell. My daughters lived with us, and Tommy's 2 kids would come visit us for holidays and summers, and it was a constant nightmare in our house. Everything was very fake. What happened in our house was not what happened out in public, and everybody in the church, everybody who knew him thought that he was just so awesome, and people get so excited that he was coming to preach and stuff, but that's not the life we lived at home. Everybody at home walked on eggshells, and Tommy was such a control freak. He used to take the parts off the TV so we couldn't watch TV if he wasn't home, or he was constantly taking money, locking me out of the bank account, and
so I was because I was so operating in fear that it was just the flip. I wanted everybody else to operate in fear,
and we did, and it was stressful. Yeah, it was really awful. And then at the same time that we were going through all of that, we were also in ministry. We were youth group leaders of a very large youth group. We were in jail ministry, and it was just this. It was like God would move, but it was so crushing because what happened at home was the exact opposite of what we experienced outside of our house. And I think for me, that was the worst part of the whole situation. It was the hypocrisy of it, because even in my shady life, when I was a criminal, I'm a criminal. This is what I do.
I can resonate with that one.
Yeah.
Because my dad was an ex-convict, so he was who he was.
Right.
It was the truth of who he was.
Right.
And so
So
when
all
you got
this fake
saved,
stuff,
it was the truth.
right?
Yeah, and really just not wanting, I think the hardest part for me was the double life. It was not, it was putting on the facade at church and everybody thinking you're so amazing, and then going home and being the real you, but then having to put on that fakeness, and it's like, oh, that was a lot of work.
Exhausting.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, and then you go to your work, and then you're a totally different person there, and then you. So it's just this really, it was a lot of work, and man, I will tell you this. The fun thing about today is we are just who we are. You know what I mean? What you see right now, and I know you've seen our stuff.
Yes.
But this is just kind of what you get, like the real raw kind of.
Yeah.
Here you go. And I'm okay.
It's okay to tell the story. It's, what else? What else? What's going to happen?
We always tell people we have nothing to lose because we've already lost it all. At least, I lost my wife, my kids, my job, almost everything, and grace.
Yeah.
Because He's restored it. I would have to say 100-fold.
Oh, restoring it's not even. He's taken
renewed it.
This gigantic mess that we created, and and now it's something beautiful that it never was. It's there's hope. There's hope for anybody out there who thinks that any situation in marriage, infidelity or drug addiction or physical abuse or whatever it is.
Well, you're checking all my boxes right now. Wow, man.
You got so many boxes there.
Yeah, I know. Thank God all those boxes are behind us.
There's hope because if you do it God's way, there's nothing that He can't restore and make it just this beautiful, blissful, amazing thing. And so that's where we live today. But we did the whole really hellish existence in marriage for 4.5 years until I left you a couple times during that period, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. The cheating and the
physical abuse.
The physical abuse and the verbal abuse, and I couldn't deal with it anymore. And at that time, I believed myself to be a Christian woman. But I can promise you there wasn't a day that I ever prayed for him. Because I despised him so much. I was in this constant mode of trying to get away from him, trying to survive him, trying to just get through the day, trying to hide in another room, trying to keep my mouth shut so that I could try to kind of control the situation.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I was just going to say, the only reason, again, there's so many reasons why I'm here, but they all boil down to one, and that's the grace of God. But, has she not been praying for me? Because, so here's what we do. A lot of time we'll see people and we'll complain about them because of our situation. We'll complain, we'll gripe, I'd use lots of different other adjectives that wouldn't be appropriate, but, we'll do all these different things. But yet, the Bible just says pray. It says pray for your enemies. Because it's interesting is that we're talking like this as if they're enemies, but yet we're not praying like as if they're our enemies. So what we end up doing is crying about the situation instead of crying out about the situation. There's a difference.
It's really hard to be in the place of a victim.
Come on. That's good.
And be able to pray for somebody else. The person who is victimizing you.
Right.
But see, God hasn't called us to be victims. We're champions. We're warriors. If you're a woman, you're a daughter. I mean, we have all of the power of heaven behind us. But I think in traumatic situations, we forget who we are and we turn into a victim. And after 4.5 years of doing this crazy thing with him, I was as victim as I could possibly be. And the only thing, people who advise you say, well, leave him and divorce him because he's been unfaithful to you. He's an abuser. He's done all these things. So you have
I want to stop there for a minute, though. Did you guys hear what she said? She said that when people that are advising you are telling you to leave the situation, right? Now, we don't want you to stay in there and be in a dangerous situation.
No,
I'm not.
We also don't want, what is not needed is for people to tell you to leave, break it off, and those types of things, because God can do.
What was never told to me is there is a biblical way to fight for your marriage and fight for your husband who's going the wrong way, who's broken and needs help. Nobody ever said that to me, And so, except for God himself. I mean, me and God, we worked this thing out, and he was the one who taught me how to do this. It wasn't through a mentor. It wasn't, although I did have an amazing woman in my life, and she would always bring it back around. Okay, Michelle, but how did you handle the situation? How are you praying for the situation? And I would be like, are you not even hearing me? Did you not hear what I just told you he did to me? I mean, I would just be furious with her.
So, James 5:16, it's we look at it, and I think we look at Scripture a lot and go, oh man, that sounds awesome. Yay, go God. But James 5:16 says, that fervent, effectual prayer of a righteous man, woman, avails much.
But it took me a while to get to that place where I could pray for him. When I left Tommy, I was pregnant, and I left California and I moved back to Arizona, and I filed for legal separation so that he would have to help me pay for the insurance and the baby and all of our bills and stuff. And so he came. So it was actually on our anniversary. On that day, I gave birth to our son, who is stillborn. And on that day, that same day, I got delivered divorce papers in the hospital.
Not by my design. It was, I always clarify that because I was mean and I was nasty, but I wasn't that evil. My attorney was, and so she decided to send her that day. So
you can imagine the amount of hatred that I had for him escalated to unbelievable amounts, just because of the pain that I was experiencing and the things that I was going through, alone. Anyway, it was a few months after that. I had really been seeking God really hard because I was so close to going back to my old lifestyle. It seemed to me that I had more control not following God than I did following God.
Yes.
And I got a hold of some teachings about the love of God, and I just started soaking in them and listening to them 24 hours a day. They were playing in my house. And
we just want to just put this out there if you heard that. So Dan Moeller is a great teaching on how to become love.
You can look him up
White,
on YouTube.
Yeah, Todd White's another one.
Yeah.
Those two right there, just
powerful teachings, just really basic teachings on the love of God. And these teachings started to just change me and just break down these walls that I had. And God said, you know what, Michelle? He said, you've become a God to yourself. He said, you're such a victim. You protect all of these things that seem valuable to you. I can't get to them. You've set yourself up before me. And so I began to go through this process with God and lay all this stuff out, and I got healed from some radical things. And then one day, about 4 months out from our divorce being final, I received some more paperwork from his lawyer, and I'm reading this paperwork, and it's just full of lies and ridiculous stuff, and he's trying to sue me for spousal support and stuff. I was like, this is just crazy. Anyway, I laid the papers down on the floor and I just began to pray. And I had an encounter with God's love. It was like it just overtook me. It was fluid. I was flying in it, and I was breathing it, and it was in my nostrils, and I was swallowing it, and it was healing me. And as I was in it, before God said anything, he showed me how he sees him. Like, I got to look through God's eyes at Tommy Hunter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then after I saw him the way God sees him, I got to feel the way God feels about him.
Wow.
And it healed me.
Yeah.
And it broke all of this gross stuff off my life that
full surrenderance.
It was wild.
Yeah, just made me think of, like, where the Bible says, Mark 12:30-31, it says, love the Lord your God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength, and then love your neighbors, you love yourself. And I really feel like if we would just see ourselves how God sees us, and if we would see each other how God sees us, that commandment that God says is one of the greatest commandments. Those two put together would really just revolutionize the way that we do this thing called Christianity.
Yeah. And relationships,
relationship for sure, because I can tell you that just even outside of our marriage, we have had relationship challenges, whether it be at work, in ministry, or wherever. And we choose to look at people that way now, which just eliminates a lot of the crap that most people have to go through just to get to the next step of relationship, and or to get through a difficult situation.
Yeah.
And when you can see people, okay, wait a minute, there's something broken there.
Yeah.
And it's not a judgment thing, it's just a thing of, okay, they're behaving a certain way because there's something broken. And I know that we both had brokenness in our past,
Yeah.
so I can understand and relate to where people are coming from before they even go, 2 more steps.
Right.
So, and it helps me to just love them where they're at, which is exactly what we tell people God does, right?
Yes.
Come to church because God will just love you where you're at. We just don't live the same thing unless we know it, so, or have experienced it. So
Yeah, it's good.
yeah.
So in this time that I had with the love of God, God showed me how He feels about me, and I caught this revelation of my identity, who I really am. I'm not a victim of Tommy Hunter or any other person. I'm not a mom, or it's not about what I do for work. I am a daughter of the King of Kings.
Yeah.
And God said to me, Michelle, I want you to start praying for restoration of your marriage. Had it been 15 minutes earlier and I'd heard the voice of God say, I want you to start believing for restoration of your marriage, I would have been like, what? Like, what He's done to me. Why would I go back to this guy? Why would I want that? But because I was so healed, because the love had consumed me, it was like, yes, of course, this is what I'm going to do. And God said, I want you to start praying for your husband, because if you don't, who will? And he's going the wrong way. So I came out of this encounter with this fire blazing inside of me, knowing that I'm going to believe for restoration of my marriage. Yeah. And then God took me through a process of 4 months of teaching me how to pray. And it wasn't, he taught me very valuable lessons about, we don't pray for somebody, we don't come to the throne room with prayers for ourselves regarding the other person. So the prayer was never about my marriage.
Yeah.
The prayer was never about change him because he's so jacked up. It was, God, you have a plan and a purpose for this man's life.
Yes.
Lord God, just take his eyes and replace them with your own, so that when he looks at women, all he sees are daughters. Because if he's seeing daughters of God, he's not going to be lusting after them. God, take his heart and put your own heart inside of him, because if he feels the way that you do and he loves the way that you do, he's going to change the world. I prayed over his feet, and I prayed over his mind, I prayed over his ears. I would declare every morning, I wrote these prayers out, and I would just pray over him 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, and I would say, Lord, I just pray over Tommy's ears today that they would be so sensitive to receive truth. And I pray today that you would bring somebody in his life to speak truth to him. And so I did this for 4 months. And about 2 months in, I was stalking his social media.
But you told yourself you weren't even going to do it.
God told me, stop doing this. He kept telling me, stop looking at the social media, because what I was doing was I was looking for physical evidence that something was changing. And God's like, a double-minded man is unstable in all their ways. You can't look for things that you're believing for, because the opposite of faith is not doubt. The opposite of faith is sight. If you're looking for something that you're believing for, you're not really believing for it, because you're looking for it with your eyes.
So good.
It's good.
And so I would see him with, he's running.
She's the preacher now. See,
That's really good
I just
stuff.
sit back and go
Really
girl.
good stuff coming out of that.
Yeah, I know. She's awesome.
He's running amok, and he's I don't know how many relationships he was in, but he's attempting to be in relationships and, doing all this dating and stuff. And I didn't care, though. It didn't deter me.
Hold on, let me interrupt. So her prayers were actually working, and I didn't know she was praying these things.
Yeah.
But yet, everything that she was praying, I was experiencing.
So let me just say, so there's this prayer in
Zephaniah
2:5 or Zechariah 2:5, one of the two. And it says, and I came across, in my own study, I came across the scripture, and it says, the Lord says, I will be a wall of fire around her, and I will be the glory that's within her.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so if I'm the one with the covenant with this man, and God created the covenant, then that means that I have more power than any woman in his bed, right? because I'm the one with the covenant. I'm going to put pressure on what God says belongs to me. And if God says that there's a wall or a fire around me, protecting me, keeping bad things out, keeping me protected inside, I declared a wall of fire around him, and I would pray over him every day. God, I declare this wall of fire around him. I declare, Lord God, that wall of fire is going to chase those women away, and it's going to keep him within the covenant that belongs to me. And I pray, Lord God, that you would drive him to his knees every single day with a need and an understanding that he needs you.
And all this stuff was just like unfolding without her even ever telling me. And I love the beautiful thing about that is that prayer actually works. Like God really, first of all, God really listens.
Yes.
Secondly, God really knows what he's doing. I think so often we want to go, hey God, I got this. Yeah. You know, and we laugh about this now and we just go, you know, God really does know what he's doing.
Yeah. He does, yeah.
You know, and we so don't. You know, and I love partnering with him because just not in this kind of stuff, but in everything that we do, and we find that in decisions or things that we have to do, or you know, we get a lot of requests to go speak at churches or go overseas or whatever now. I mean, that's really blown up for us, and so we're like, okay, cool, but is this what you want to do? And if so, how do you want to do this? I mean, what does this look like? And we start having these dreams and revelations and words, and it's like he really knows what he's doing because he knows his people so well. Yeah. He knows his creation so well. You know, and so just for sake of time, I want to fast forward a little bit. So the good news is, so the person she had prayed for to come into my life and speak into my life, you would have never thought. You'd have thought I'd been a pastor. You'd have thought I'd been some kind of marriage counselor. And it ended up being one of the biggest rock stars in the world, Fieldy from the band Korn. And Fieldy and Michele and I, you know, we're all family friends, and Brian Head Welch from the band Korn, you know, that we're family friends and stuff. But God uses all kinds of people to move the chess pieces. And I remember being in Fieldy's backyard, and he was just like, and all I'm doing is complaining about her. And you know, he said these really profound words to me. He was like, "Why don't you shut up?" And that was really what I needed to hear. You know, it's not what I wanted to hear, but it's what I needed to hear. And he was the guy I could receive from. And so he started breaking down 1 Corinthians 13 for me and just what love looked like and all that. And he said, you know, why don't you just jump on a plane and go to Arizona and get Michele?
This was after we got divorced.
This was about 2 weeks
after our divorce was final.
Wow. So I did just that. I thought, well, this has got to be from God, you know. So 2 days later, I was on a plane. This is how much of a control freak I was, though. So I was like, hey, can we meet? You know, and so she's like, oh my gosh, my prayers are getting answered.
I'm in my living room, like doing the glory dance, you know what I mean? Screaming, hollering, and I'm like, God, this is okay, thank you. Like, this has finally happened.
Here's what I said, I'll give you an hour.
I'm like,
I still wanted, because I was still operating in fear. I didn't know any of it. I mean, I had, 44 years of operating in fear. So, and it just hit me this revelation. That's all I knew was fear. Being afraid of my parents, being afraid of situations and all
what
that.
What people would think about you.
Yeah,
like,
so
even your own behavior you were afraid of.
So anyway, wow, good stuff. But
so we got back together.
I mean, we were together 5 minutes. We were like, okay, we're good, but we're going to do this the right way now. And well, God, I don't know what that looks like, but man, whatever it is, order our steps, direct our paths. I mean, you're going to need not just a light, but like a beacon to light our path and tell us how to get there.
And the thing is, we would like to be able to say that, we got back together and everything was amazing and perfect, but it wasn't. It was exactly the same as it had always been. This is a good point for anybody who is in a difficult relationship. Yes. It doesn't even have to be a marriage relationship. It can be with a child or a mother-in-law or your spouse, whatever. I'm the one who changed first. Yep. I didn't do the cheating. I didn't do the hitting. I wasn't abusive like Tommy was. I had a whole lot of crazy, but, mine just looked different than his. But I'm the one who changed first. When Tommy and I got back together, I was fully surrendered to the heart of God. And the word says that we're supposed to submit ourselves one to another. And it tells us as wives that we're supposed to submit to our husbands. And I can tell you that in my whole life, the word submit was not something that I ever used. It is not a word I agreed with. And it was certainly not something I was ever going to do.
It didn't feel safe, did it?
It doesn't feel safe. But the thing is when you're fully submitted to God, that means He's your protector.
Yes.
It means He's your provider. It means He's the one, that He is the source.
Yeah.
And so I was so surrendered to God that it didn't matter that Tommy was exactly the same as he had been, because I was no longer in a place of a victim.
Right.
When he's, the first 4 months we were back together were really rough. He had, all the same outbursts, temper tantrums, and all the same stuff. But instead of me trying to figure out how to get away from him and inwardly disrespecting him and hating him, my heart was submissive. I was full of grace, and I was full of love, and I would just pray under my breath.
So I experienced that with her, and not just with her, but with anybody, for honestly the first time, especially someone I was in a relationship with. And so seeing that change, and I knew it wasn't just a fake change. Michelle's never been fake about anything, but it started to change who I was, because I was like, I need to have some behavior changes too, but I need to have more of a heart change, because I saw her heart changing. And then next thing you know, 4 months later, again, a lot of that came with intentional.
Did that make you feel, when she changed and you started to feel that wanting to change, did you feel now safe enough to make those changes?
So yes and no. So let me explain that. So safety was, I was gaining safety with her. I was gaining trust with her.
Yeah.
Because I was allowing myself to. Had nothing to do with that it was just that I guess it had something to do, but I mean, I was really, for the first time, being vulnerable.
Well, I did create a place of safety, because I was not responding or reacting to his outbursts. I would remain calm, and I was full of grace and full of love and full of mercy.
In Colossians 3:13, it says, make room for each other's faults. And really what Michelle did was she made some room for me to grow in this area.
Yeah.
And it was, we were intentional.
Super intentional.
And we decided that we were going to do I never knew what love was. Yeah. I heard those words, and I had a concept. I've seen it on TV and in the movies and on social media, but I never experienced it until I saw her really walking this thing out and being love to me. I said, I want that. And so I'm going to be as intentional as I can possibly be to be whatever this is. And so it wasn't about 4 months later till that was we had a shift or a turn in our relationship. And I'll tell you really quickly what that was, because it's kind of funny. But so we were intentionally living out and becoming 1 Corinthians 13, which is patient and kind and not keeping a record of wrongs and enduring through everything and not giving up and not boasting about how great we are and all this stuff.
But what he means is we weren't just reading it, we were becoming it. So we actually wrote it out. And so Michelle is patient, Michelle is kind, Michelle doesn't keep a record of wrongs, Michelle, and then he wrote his out, and we would read them to each other.
Did someone teach you that?
No.
Wow.
No, we wanted to be different. We wanted something we'd never had before.
Yeah, so that's the thing. If you want something you've never had before, you got to do the things that you've never done before.
Exactly. That's a good one.
So we said, we're going to do whatever this says.
Whatever the word says.
And then I started looking at different verses about what love was and when I was supposed to do it, how I was supposed to do it. And I said, I'm going to own this. Because I've never done it before, so I'm going to own it. And so fast forward, here we are 4 months, and Michelle says, okay. I remember we were sitting, when we lived in Long Beach, and I was sitting up on the counter in our kitchen. We were just talking, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, Michelle's like, hey, why don't you tell me everything you did while we were apart?
It wasn't actually while we were apart. It was while we were together. I wanted a confession. I already knew. I'd already caught him in a bunch of stuff. I'd already whatever. I just wanted a confession. I wanted some sort of validation for foolishly.
And that's kind of one of those oh crap moments, for a guy.
Right.
And so, but because I have been studying it and really just getting my head around it, Holy Spirit, all within like that. It was literally, it happened this quick. Gave me a vision and gave me a word. And the vision, the word was, love doesn't keep a record of wrongs.
Yeah.
So it means the record is the wrongs that I did. So there's no record of those wrongs. Love doesn't keep it. So what that looks like in a vision is a record player that has a broken record on it. So what happens to that broken record? One, it has a crack in it. which means there's something broken about it. Which means when you play the record, it never gets past to the rest of the song. So you always get stuck. You always get stuck in the past. He said, if you want to move on, take off the record, put on a new one, sing a new song. And so in that moment, I said, Michele.
He just broke it down
and I just said, what
humbly
value,
like that.
Yeah, and I really said, what value does it have for us to keep the record of the wrongs and even talk about the past? Because God is trying to take us forward, but it will never get forward if we're always focusing on where we used to be.
And there's something so powerful about using the word the way that God intended for us to use it. We used it in this moment. We applied it to the situation.
Oh, yeah.
And this spirit of freedom came over the both of us. And I literally got set free of me in that moment, of me.
Which then set me free, which then allowed, again, for the safe place you're talking about. Because you talk about from a guy's perspective, I was like, she was like, okay. And I was like, whoa, I am free. And I'm free to talk about, now you want to talk about the past, let's talk about it, because you just set me free. So
yeah, there was this spiritual shift in our relationship. I got set free in that moment of ever needing validation, or I'm sorry, or I didn't need any of it, because God says, don't keep a record of wrongs.
Yeah.
But how often do we actually do what God's word says? But there's this amazing spiritual aspect of it when we just do what he says wholeheartedly. There's an amazing blessing on the other side of it. And it was I think for the rest of that first year, we had to continuously work out some kinks. Tommy had behaviors, and he would lash out or whatever, and then he'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. I said that. I'm sorry." And catch himself. And so you may have to do it 500 times today, but tomorrow it's only 499.
Catch it and own it. Catch it and own it.
And then pretty soon you're not doing it anymore.
Because you own it so well, it's just who. It's what I call. So this is how I say this. A lot of people get into relationships. They say, "Oh, I fell in love with so and so," and then a year later they break up or they get a divorce
because they fell out of love.
Because they fell out of love.
Right.
And I equate that to this. It's like falling in a mud puddle, and you go, "Oh, I don't like this. I'm cold. I'm wet. I'm dirty." And so what do? You naturally, you get up and you leave and you go get cleaned off, which you get up out of the relationship and you go to another one. And so there's a difference between falling in love and becoming it. Because when you become it, it's your character.
It's who you are.
Yeah,
John
1, he says,
That's really good.
He says that in the beginning the Word was God, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God.
The Word became flesh and dwelt among us.
Yeah, so in verse 14 it says, and the Word became flesh, and dwelt among us. And I thought, well, if the Word can become flesh, it means I can get the Word in me because I'm flesh. And it can dwell out of me and around me and out of me,
right?
So I can become it. He doesn't just want us to read His Word, but become it.
But then there's the other scriptures that talk about. So we're made in God's image, and God is love. And so if 1 Corinthians 13 breaks down what love is, we are supposed to become those things.
Yeah.
We never give up. We cover multitudes of sins. We believe the best in every situation.
And Ephesians 5:1 says, imitate God, like replicate how He is in love, like little children, Right. So we're supposed to imitate, we're supposed to be the mirror of God's love to the world. Yeah. And then you go to Romans 13:8, and I don't even have to look these up, like they're here because this is what goes through my head on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Every time I walk into a Starbucks or a grocery store or a gas station in Maui, so many radical stories, but it says, "Oh no man anything except to love him, love them." Wow. So I owe it to you, Gloria. She owes it to you to love you, and vice versa.
Vice versa.
And that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Not all this chaos that we're experiencing. Such division in the world right now. But man, love just so needs to interrupt this plan that the enemy has. So
I agree.
So there we are. We're now happily married. Now we're 6 years into it.
Yeah.
Let's back up to after we worked this thing out. It was within our first year of being back together that God called us to start a church, and
that was crazy.
Yeah.
Right in the heart of downtown Long Beach, where man, if anywhere, I don't know, people need love, that was the place.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, God used the next 4.5 years to groom us in such a beautiful way to really love people who desperately needed it.
Broken people, hurting people.
Addicted people, broken relationships. You check the box on all of the above. And it really, I mean, we had a lot of people come against us. We had a lot of things said to us that I just for the life of me could never think to say to a pastor or somebody in that place, that place of
just
leadership.
Anybody, just regular people.
Yeah. I mean,
we've been through a lot the last.
Even with our kids,
it's been 5.5 years.
There's been a lot, but here we are. Now we're kind of on this other side where we've dissolved the church by a move of God, and now we get to, and we've been doing this actually for the last 3.5 years. This was part of this decision making in dissolving church, but now we travel the world. We get to share the love of God with people.
Awesome.
And we get to speak at marriage conferences, teach people how to become love, how to do marriages right, how to do relationship right. And
there's an anointing that comes with transparency.
Yeah.
And people need transparency.
Yeah.
They need it from us, and they need it from people in leadership, because they need to know that they're not alone in what they go through. And we have seen this anointing that comes with transparency. It's almost like a wave of love. It allows love in. And so we are so excited and honored that God would use us. The incredible mess that we have. Before we even came together, Tommy created an incredible mess of his life, and so did I. And then we came together and made even a bigger mess,
Yeah.
And so there's nothing that you could go through that God can't restore.
Yeah.
And restore it to the place where He intended it.
Yeah.
What Tommy and I have today is so much more than I even knew was possible in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so for us to be able to go into churches and events or whatever and walk people through the process of how to get honest with yourself, and then lay things out on the table and be super transparent, because there's this verse in the Bible. It's one of the verses that God used in my life when I was in jail, and it changed my perspective forever. So from Ephesians 5, and it says, "Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but expose them." And then out of that came this revelation of what mold does, what mold looks like. And mold in the dark grows and it gets powerful, and it's where it gets its strength is from the darkness. But you expose it to the light and it dies. And in relationships, we have all of these secrets, and we have all of these addictions, and we have all of these things that we hide from our church family, or that we hide from the people in our life, or that we even try to hide from ourselves. And they get powerful that way because they're hidden. But once we bring things out into the light and we expose it and we talk about it and we deal with it, it loses its power. And so, I really think that God has called us to share this revelation with people and to help people get free.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and
totally.
so what we've seen happen, and I just was noticing the time, and I felt like we've eaten up all the time. That I'm sure you have questions. So, but our vision for our ministry, which is 1-3 Ministries, which comes from 1 Corinthians 13. So it's the number 13, and I found 7 sections of scripture that use the number 13, or it's the verse, or it's the chapter, and they all relate to love. So that's where that comes from.
Okay.
But so the vision for our ministry is not only just to go in and do what we do, but to leave something there with people that one couple will say.
It's the legacy.
To say it's our legacy is to leave. So I want one couple out of all the at each church to go. I want to do what they do, and then say, teach us to do this. And so we've done that now, and we're seeing little things pop up. People calling us, "Hey, I started a marriage ministry at our church that we didn't have before."
That's awesome.
One of the first couples that we worked with together for a long period of time, they were in the middle of a divorce, I think.
Yep.
and we worked with them, and now they have their own marriage ministry in a church, and
That's incredible.
yeah, it's really incredible.
There's another pastor just hit me up while we were sitting here, wants us to go to Honduras with them to do the same thing what we do, and then there's a couple in his church who have started a movement because we spoke there last year. And then that's a whole other wild trip. But we go on these wild adventures that God takes us, and we're just whatever He wants us to do, we go.
Yeah, that's you guys are incredible. I have one question.
Okay.
And I was waiting, but you said you kind of already answered the question, and I'll tell you after we're off camera why. But what would you say? If someone came to you and they're like, we just fell out of love, we're going to get a divorce.
So, I would ask if they're. So my first question would be, are you willing to try to work this out? Okay, and if the answer is yes, then the next question, and this is how we start all of our marriage coaching. It's kind of my prerequisite, and so I asked it. So if they're willing, so what are you willing to do to make this work? And if the answer is anything less than everything and anything, whatever it takes, we can't help you because your mind's already made up. You've already made your decision. But if they're willing to walk the process out, because it's a process.
It's a process.
It's two selfish people trying to become one, and so often it's two people fighting to be two.
Yeah. With a lot of brokenness behind as well.
Right. The thing about love, though, see, it's not a falling in or falling out. It's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
And I mean, because if there was anybody who was out of love with anybody, as much as a person could be, it would be me with him. And love is not a feeling.
No.
It's not something that comes and goes. It's something that you believe. It's something that you choose. And so,
Good.
a lot of people, if they would really take Mark 12:30-31 serious, it's a commandment. It's not a suggestion. It's not the great suggestion. It's the great commandment. And not only that, but a lot of people also go, yeah, okay, and they all want to reach the city. They want to go reach the world. And they want to evangelize. And granted, we're supposed to do that. It's really hard to do the Great Commission without doing the Great Commandment first, though.
Wow.
It's true. And this
Come on.
to hear that.
That'll preach right there. See,
but this is our first ministry, is our family, and it's sad, but most of the time we treat strangers better than we do our spouse. We're more courteous, and we're more thoughtful, and but these are all travesties, because if I can't do this ministry selflessly, then how could I even hope to sow into somebody else or be a blessing in someone else's life if I can't get this right?
So I'm going to say, so the enemy so badly wants to divide. My son and I just had this conversation a few weeks ago. He says, man, why is all this stuff happening? I said, man, it's all about, the enemy just wants to divide people.
Yeah.
Because then he has the sense, or he has the thought or idea that he wins. But my son's like, yeah, but he doesn't win. And I go, I know. It's just an attempt to get everybody separated from God while they're here on earth. And it's the same thing in marriage. And it's just the littlest things. I remember, she doesn't know this, so this is going to be live, for her first time hearing this. So the other day we were, because we're not perfect, we're being perfected, right? We're just trying to get the glory right now. And so Michelle was a little irritable on the way home from Tijuana the other day. And she said something, I don't know if she snapped or what, and here's what I did. I didn't say anything to her. I went to my prayer closet in my brain, in my head, and I said, hey, you know what, God? I don't like the way that felt, but that's your daughter. You deal with her. And I promise you, it wasn't but 10 seconds later, she goes, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. And I had a chuckle inside, because God really knows what he's doing, and he really does answer prayers, and he really wants, he's so against division.
But this is, hold on, this is learned behavior. We have to train ourselves to not respond in flesh. Okay? So I'm going to say one thing, and then you can ask. So
I think you're already going to say it.
The thing that God has over and over and over shown us is that the only right we have is to love.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the only right as Christians that we have is to love. What is love? Love is patient, is kind, it is read 1 Corinthians 13 to find out what love is. But see, what happens is the reason that people split up, the reason that marriage is so hard is because of offense. We don't have a right to be in offense. We don't have a right to be in unforgiveness. We don't have a right to be in bitterness. It doesn't matter if you have the mindset of, but you don't know what he's done to me, because nowhere in the Bible does it say you love only based upon these things if the person's deserving of it, if the person's asked for forgiveness, if the person is changing, if the person is deserving, right?
Yes.
Our only right is to love and to be loved.
Yeah, I love
Word.
yeah, so good, right?
Yeah.
I know she dropped that bomb a few months ago. I was like, dang, all right.
That's awesome.
I love when Jesus was at the Mount of Olives and he was praying, and he's like, he's in this weak moment, and he's just like, having one of them victim moments. And I say that very loosely because the victim moment happened for about 2 seconds for Jesus,
Like a poor me kind of.
Yeah, because he was human, right? He was he had some humanness to him. But he says, "Can you just take the cup from me? Because I know it's about to happen." So he goes, "Wait a minute, your will be done, not my own." And he immediately shifted over to go, what would God want me to do in this situation? What does my Father want me to do? Oh, that's right. Yeah. He's already laid out the purpose and the plan. I'm following it.
Yeah.
And so the purpose and the plan for us as Christians is to love one another.
That's it.
To love our neighbor. When I roll over in the morning and I see her, that's my first neighbor. Not the guy next door, not the guy down the street, not the guy at work. This is my first neighbor. And so he says, love her.
Our relationships would go a whole lot better if we had a clear understanding of who we are.
Yeah.
That and whose we are. Yeah. And
so hold on. Who's this? Mary and Elizabeth have been faithfully watching. I just have to acknowledge Mary and Elizabeth. Hey, ladies. You guys are on top of it. Getting some stuff here today.
Yes.
All right. So what else do you have for us?
I'm so blessed. You guys said you guys were just amazing. You guys brought it real and raw.
Oh, thank you.
One of the things that you said is that when she was going through, you were having this little situation coming back from Tijuana, and you said you went into your head and prayed.
Oh yeah, that's what we have to do.
I was going to say, what, you mean you didn't pray demons out of her and lay hands on her?
No. That probably wouldn't be received very well. But the thing is the voice of God.
But some guys do that.
Oh, that ain't right though. The voice of God is how we get our partner's heart to move. It's not our own voice. You know how the Bible says in Proverbs that the voice of a griping woman or whatever is like the dripping of rain on a tin roof or something. Right. But so both of us have learned that I'll have an idea, or I'll have an opinion about something, and I will bring it up to him maybe 2 or 3 times max. And he'll shoot it. If he shoots it down, I don't bring it up again. But I'll go to God. And I'll say, Lord, I know this is right. I know this is the way. I know this is the idea. I know this is the solution, whatever. I said, I need you to talk to Tommy's heart. And the next morning, he'll wake up. It'll be 6 o'clock in the morning. He's like, boing. He has this amazing idea. It's the thing I've been telling him, but it sounds different when God talks to him.
But so I brought something to Michelle the other day. We were in Mexico, and I said, hey, I had this thought, and I don't know. Here's what I'm thinking. And Michelle was silent. And I was like, so I said it again. She was silent. So I went to God about it. I said, look, here's what I'm thinking. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm thinking. And I went to her and I go, yeah, God was saying that's not what he's thinking either. So apparently you both are on the same page. Because we really,
we depend on
as much as we can, rely on that because
I'm not the boss of him and he's not the boss of me. And we can't lord over each other. We have to be submitted to God. And I believe that God is so capable of speaking to my husband. And I believe that God's voice in my husband's ear can be a lot more convincing or impactful than my own voice. And so...
because sometimes our emotion gets involved, or our own agenda, or selfishness gets involved. Yeah. And none of that resides in the Spirit of God. And so he's so gentle, and he's so loving, but he's so... spot on with what he has to say, and so when he delivers the message, it's the perfect one.
Yeah.
And when he delivers the answer, it's always the right one.
Yeah.
And when he delivers it, it's always in the right moment, you know?
It's good.
And so,
That's really good.
yeah, I always, I wait for that. I need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Because I got stupidity still, you know?
It keeps people from doing this.
Yeah.
Because you're not at odds with each other. You're
Yeah.
listening to the voice of God and you're praying through the situation.
Yeah.
You know?
That's really good, you guys. Before we close, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I meant to say it's an honor too. By the way, we so appreciate stuff like this. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate
We
it.
stalk you too, so don't worry.
Well, I want to ask you, since the name of this show is called Heart of the City, San Diego,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, which you probably already have said, you know, all throughout the whole conversation,
Sure.
you guys are the heart of San Diego. We need people like
Yeah.
you to bring it real and raw, to
Yeah.
tell us, to tell ministers, preachers who think that they're all, you know, that they're, you know, that they really need to get real. And love the way that you guys, you know, are explaining that. But how
Sure.
are you the heart of the city in San Diego?
Well, I thank you. So I really believe God moved us from Long Beach because our assignment there was over, and so our new assignment is here in San Diego, and obviously all over the world. But home base is here in San Diego. So I've kind of got a long answer, but I'll shorten it as much as I can.
It's okay.
He introduced us to our pastors, our now pastors, Pastors Leanne and Jurgen of C3 Church, and you couldn't find two more people who are so love for this city. And so the connection was we felt like we meshed perfectly with them.
That's great.
And so their mission is to really change San Diego by loving it and by loving the people. And so that fits with our agenda. And so our heart is for people. And because we live here, it's hometown now. So everywhere we go, we find ourselves just loving on people. So how are we the heart? I think just bringing the presence of God to San Diego.
Freedom.
You know,
Letting people know.
yeah,
Letting
set
people know
free.
that God intends for them to live in freedom.
Yeah.
The church is in, you know, a lot of bondage, and we desire to see that broken off for sure.
Yeah, I think doing relationship with people here and getting them getting to know you, getting to know them, and just doing life with people.
Yeah.
Because so many people are running 100 miles an hour. We are learning and growing in that area as well. But we're also experiencing some great relationships down here. And
It's good.
there's freedom just to love people here. So it's really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
So
San
thanks.
Diego needs you guys. We're
Oh,
glad
thank
to
you.
have
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so good.
Awesome. So for those of you who are listening, and you're going to listen to the replay and things like that, but there's a lot of preachers that, and so a lot of you guys out there that have your own churches and stuff. You know, these guys, you can have them come and minister at your churches and things.
Absolutely.
Sure.
They would love to come, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want to just bring them and hang out with them and sit down and have a cup of coffee with them,
Yeah.
you're going to get so much. You're going to glean so much off of the conversation that you have, even
Thank you.
over a cup of coffee, you guys.
Yeah, I just want to say, and it's not for. I want to set something really clear: is that yeah, we love speaking at churches,
Yeah.
but it's not about speaking at churches. It's really bringing a message of a hope, how to love, and really just transformation
Yeah.
through
Yes.
transparency.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I'm glad you said that.
yeah, I really believe that healthy marriages equal healthy families,
Yes.
which then creates healthy churches.
Yes.
Which means then we have the now greatest commandment, which means then we can go do the greatest commission.
Yeah.
And so
That's
we
good.
hope that we can be a part of that in
Yeah.
whoever reaches out. I mean, that's really the heart behind this. So
Yeah.
to reach us, Tommy Hunter on Facebook, Michele Hunter on Facebook for the ladies, or if you want to check out our ministry, it's
Website.
13 Ministries. So that's, you spell it out. No, it's number
One,
one, number
number
three,
Ministries.com.
ministries.com. And then we also have our Facebook, our Instagrams. Just look us up there.
Yeah.
You know, they're all open. We don't try to
Love
hide
it.
anything. We don't get in there, check us out, look at our pictures, see how weird we are. You know, but you can also see
He's weird.
how much fun we have too. So, anyway. Yeah, thanks, Gloria.
All right. So with that said, you guys, we're going to peace out. Michele and Tommy Hunter. Yeah. Peace out, you guys.
See you later.